so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member Westerman, and members of the committee, as well as the distinguished guests. My name is Stacey Plaskett. I represent the Virgin Islands of the United States in the U.S. House of Representatives. I want to really thank you for holding this hearing on House Resolution 279, which would condemn the insular cases. This is a historic hearing indeed. More than 3.5 million United States citizens are denied constitutional rights simply because they reside in one of the 5 U.S. territories: American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands of the United States. The combined populations of the territories is greater than that of 22 states and that of the 5 smallest states combined. It is a central principle of our American democracy that Americans, through their votes, can have a say in their government. And yet millions of Americans have almost no say in federal decision-making, even when it directly affects the islands they live on. At the core of the disenfranchisement of territorial residents are the racially charged series of Supreme Court decisions in the early 1900s, the insular cases. Prior to the insular cases, territories were viewed as inchoate states, areas on the path to full statehood. However, with the insular cases, the Supreme Court invented an unprecedented category of unincorporated territories not on the path to statehood and whose residents could be denied the most basic constitutional rights. Those decisions were explicitly informed by racial assumptions, with residents of the territories, as you have heard, described as fierce, savage, restless people who were absolutely unfit, quote unquote, to be citizens as they could not comprehend American Anglo-Saxon principles. The irony that the Supreme Court in the 1900s stated that Virgin Islanders, such as D. Hamilton Jackson, a journalist, Edward Wilmot Blyden, the founder of Pan-Africanism, Herbert Hubert Harrison, one of the founders of the Negro Renaissance in Harlem, Camille Pissarro, the founder of Impressionism, Alexander Hamilton, cannot understand Anglo-Saxon principles or indeed the Constitution. The irony is profound. It comes as no surprise that one of the most influential of these cases, Downs versus Bidwell, was decided by the same justices who invented the separate but equal doctrine of racial segregation in Plessy v. Ferguson just 3 years earlier. But the legal basis established by Plessy was reversed in Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, as the court recognized that the nation could not operate in a supposed separate but equal category, which in reality was separate and unequal. While the discriminatory precedent set by the insular cases continues to affect 3.5 million Americans, the Supreme Court has yet to revisit this precedent. Furthermore, the past 3 administrations, Trump, before that the Obama administration, before that the Bush administration, have reaffirmed this position. I call upon the Biden administration to chart a new course, reject the Supreme Court decisions in the insular cases, and recognize the importance of supporting equal rights of Americans living in the territories. The ramifications of the insular cases extend to all aspects of life of U.S. citizens in the territory. Residents are denied access to crucial federal support, despite paying more in federal taxes collectively than several states. While in recent cases of United States versus Madero, the U.S. Department of Justice has disclaimed the insular cases limit to the application of equal protection in the territories, it nonetheless still continues to embrace the flawed logic that the Constitution applies only in part in so-called unincorporated territories. Ultimately, the ongoing discrimination against Americans in territories in federal benefits program cannot be separated from the harmful legacy of the insular cases. This is seen in major disasters, in the COVID pandemic. The territories are extremely vulnerable. The insular cases set the precedent and created a near permanent colonial status. Prior to the insular cases under the Northwest Ordinance and other doctrines, territories were given support, economic, population growth incentives to eventually become states. For us living in territories, that does not happen. The Supreme Court has left the question of the insular cases unanswered. Amicus briefs have been filed by elected leaders. This is a bipartisan request for dismantling the cases, was even argued in the Supreme Court by Republican-appointed Solicitors General Paul Clement and Ted Olson. This is why the House must take up and pass House Resolution 279 and send an official message that the Supreme Court's decision in the insular cases are contrary to the text and history of the Constitution.
Thank you, Ms.
On racial views, I thank you to the committee, and I thank you for allowing me to be a co-sponsor of this resolution. And as a resident of the Virgin Islands, it is of utmost importance that we, as members of Congress, confront our disenfranchisement. Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity to speak.